guys, welcome to Vlogmas 2022. So this is the first day, but technically I do December daily vlogs. I have a video every day in December, so it will be similar setup like the previous years. This is my fourth time doing this. So it is books, it is art and craft, it is events going to, it is cooking, it is sharing some of my favorites over the year, books that I read this year. It is a wide variety of things, but I'm always like, you know, if you want something extra that you want me to add, let me know. Just leave that in the comment. But yes, I'm excited. I am trying so hard to get into the holiday spirit. I think I need it this year. I think I need it extra this year. But other than that, I am pushing along, and I'm going to be starting off day one by just wrapping up what I read last month. I do this all the time. So I read 6 books, even though I was doing NaNoWriMo, but all these books are under 250 pages. Some of them are even way under 100 page. So I love these books I'm going to share, and for different reasons. So I will start off with one of my favorite from an author that I enjoyed this year, and that is Jamaica Kincaid, and this is A Small Place. And this is her giving you the feels of being an immigrant, living in a different country, coming back to your own country and seeing things and your thought process and how you analyze things. Some things might come off a certain way, but it's just how she's blunt in this. And I like this. I shared a passage that I thought was just so important as someone who is also an immigrant living in another country, and how you feel about when you go back to your small island. I'm Jamaican. And I shared that in my reading vlog. So definitely check out that video where I talked more about this book. I do feel like in this short book, you do get a lot of information about Antigua. She shared a lot of the culture, the politics, the way of life in terms of how people there are living and their views on people who come to visit and the struggles that they are internalizing from that. And I thought this was very interesting and a well done essay. In essence, this is a series of essays on how she crafted together, that it's very powerful for a small book. But she just know how to do that. Y'all know my favorite book from her this year. Yeah. So the next book is a classic, and that is A Room with a View by E.M. Forster. Now this book is the second book from the author that I read this year. And this one I thought was interesting because of how he depicts love and choices that women had in that time period, and the decision that some women having to make in the name of love, definitely not in the name of love, retract that, in the name of survival, in the name of what do you expect. You are supposed to be more gravitate to a man in a certain class, because the whole idea is survival. You are expected to depend on your husband to give you the kind of lifestyle that either you have or better. And this is you have this young girl who is off in another country, in Florence, Italy, and she is lodging at a place that promised her a room with a view, and she did not get that. And while she's there's another guest who happens to have a room with a view and offer it to her. So you get in this, the difference of class, and then you meet this man who is not considered a part of your class. He's lower class, and the connection that they have. But then you also are engaged to a man that you're supposed to be okay with because of the class system that he's in. The way this author writes women is interesting to me, because this is the second book I read from him that I had issues with how women are portrayed, but then at the same time I have to consider the time period that this book was written and the expectation that these women had to endure. So I find myself having to think of that when I'm reading stuff like this. Now what I would say is there's the happy ending in this. There is the choices that was made that I was like, yes, thank God. That you often don't get in classic, but this one, he came with it and he's like, okay, I'm gonna give y'all something that y'all gonna appreciate, and he did that in this. I have not seen the movie adaptation, but I'm probably gonna do that in Vlogmas just because I'm curious, because it won an Oscar. One of the versions, there's several versions apparently, but there's one that won Oscar, so I'm gonna probably watch it to see how it comes off. But the writing in this is beautiful. And it gives you that certain passion that the main character, the female in this, had, that you like, okay, yeah, I can deal with that. The next one is the Scent of Bird Flower, Biz Bazaway. Y'all know struggle on this if you watch our reading vlog. Absolutely love this. This was a, come to find out after I finish it, the author is a director, a well-known director at that. And I was just loving how he wrote this story, where it's a page turner. It is short. It is like little, like I think 232 pages. It is short, but the author didn't bore you. It just came like this adventure, but it also had some folklore in it. But this is about a man who reaction of defense, in essence, of, and he killed a white man in the South, in, we're talking in the 1960s. You know how that would have went. So he flee with the woman he was with, and their goal was to go to Ghana, and because there's a politician there who he knows from his college years that would be able to help him, protect him, so he doesn't have to go back to the US. And so there's this long journey of him getting to the man. The man is a high-powered man, how, you know, getting to him and navigating. So he's basically kind of like a hitchhike going, you know, getting to different parts of Ghana while Ghana is going through its political uproar. In the middle of all of that, here comes him. Then you have the detective who's had this gun-ho about getting them because he had a case previously that didn't went the way he wants. So he has this mental thing where he's gonna get them one way or the other. And so it became more of a cat and mouse situation, and they're meeting other people. There's another character that comes in play that's a musician, and how they get entangled with that particular character. It was just a really fast-paced adventure, but also very entertaining, very much a movie-like kind of book. And I was okay with the certain folklore that was in it because I felt it was interesting. And I like authors that give me that kind of ending that makes you stop, but you can figure it out, especially when you get to the epilogue. So I think some people don't like that kind of ending in books, but I like that kind of ending in books. So I was really enjoying this. I love the cover of this. Oh, yes. And again, the writing style was very much to the point. You're not going to be dragged and constantly like wondering what's going to happen next in terms of, because there's always something happening in each page, is that you don't focus so much on, okay, what's next, you know, that kind of thing. I like this. Then we have a very ambitious, that one was also a debut. This one is a debut as well. Quite a few debut that I have that I'm going to be reading the next month. Amber's on the Wind, and this is Lisa Williamson Rosenberg. Now this is very ambitious and interesting book. This is a book that is surrounded generations of people who were influenced by a house that hosts a runaway slave, and this is in Massachusetts, and this particular home had like a back birthing area and all this, and there was unfortunate fire and people tragically lost life, and you are haunted by a survivor of this particular incident that happened, and how the author have connections with the survivor, the generation of the survivor, and this kind of eerie ability that they have to feel or hear the dead, and what it does to them. And so you get this, and you're following the past and the present. You're following different characters, and I thought it was very much interesting, but it kept you wondering about certain things, and I like that. What I struggle with sometimes was the flipping back and forth, that I had to literally like make sure I get in that space of knowing, okay, yeah, this is here, this is there. But that was the only minor issue. But other than that, I thought this was very much a creative writing juice. Like, this author was a debut author that took a chance and created something that was different, memorable, not something I've ever read before in how the story is being told. But again, it's something that I look forward to this author writing more books, because I think her creativity is very much felt in this one. Then we have it's a novel in interlock stories, and it's called Jollof Rice and Other Revolutions. Omoloa Ajima Ogan, yeah, I'm gonna, sorry. This one is, it gives me those kind of books that are intended to be a short story collection, but it follows the characters multiple times throughout the book. But like, it's kind of like a journal entry where you think of you highlighting those moments of your life that you thought was important. So this is what you get in this, where the story, each chapter is jumping to a significant event in a particular character. But how it started, I thought was interesting. Tale of a woman, and it's let's see if they have the index in the front. Yeah. Photo betters half, and that just gives you how it just starts off with that. Now what it deals with are events, consequence, and life struggle in terms of how this particular character in here deals with things that happened in the past. So you have when you get to this young girl who is in boarding school, and the event happened that caused one of her friends to die, and she took on the life of the things that that friend wanted to do. She wanted to be a lawyer, so she decides she's going to be a lawyer, and she is struggling with that. There's a lot of complicated relationship with her spouse and also her children, and choices that she's having to do because of that certain, not necessarily, more of a regret, certain regrets that she's dealing with. There's some of these stories in there that I thought was like so sweet and interesting, and there's some where just gut wrenching, where you just like feel for the character, especially at the end when she's making a choice to save her son, and how their relationship was just so complicated, and but she still, as a mother, had to make that choice to protect her son. I thought that was such a interesting take on this story. Now it is done in a way that I think the flow of it sometimes not necessarily how I would want this book to lay out, but nevertheless it is written in a short story collection form of a novel, and it's not the same as other books that I think knocked it out the park for this year. I think when I think of Pleasant View, that did an amazing job, and this didn't. I think the structure of this was not the same. Now what I would say though, as a lot of African writers that I find do amazing job with short story of story collection, I think this one is just different because instead of it just sticking to different multiple different character, it had more of the same character or the same people within a circle storyline, that kind of deal. Makes it a little bit more challenging, I think. But I like this. It definitely wasn't a 5-star. Not. I think it more like a 3.5 to me. But it's a debut, so it gives me a more feel for what the author can do in the future. And because the writing is good, it's just the structure of it was a little, not my favorite. Then I read one more classic. Now, this author was on my top 10 book read, I think, 3 years ago. I think it's 3 years ago. And that is John Steinbeck. And this is The Pearl. I've had this thing sitting on the shelf because I had some gem this year of books sitting on the shelf. So I decided that I'm going to read all the ones up here. And right now, I only got one left. So I'm excited for this because I was just like, yes. But then I started reading it and I realized that this author has this interesting way of writing books with biblical influence. Spirituality in a lesson learned in the right and wrong kind of decisions, or other ways to kind of analyze things. And this is where you have this man who is basically a scorpion sting his son, his baby, and he and his wife are poor. So they're in a town where, because of their culture and their poverty level, no one helps. So they have a doctor who's just not interested in helping them because he's not getting any pay out of it. So this is happening. He's struggling. He's seeing the poison starting to make his son change, and he's desperate to get help, but he's also in survival mode. He found a pearl, and this pearl is supposed to be like the mother of all pearls, and it's supposed to bring you wealth, and he's looking at it as an opportunity to change his status, to be able to help his son. But it comes with the what you expect when people walk into a situation where wealth is their new thing. Wealth is something that now they have, like think of people who won the lottery and all these people that they never knew of, or things coming at them from left and right. You hear stories of that when you watch those people who lost so much, or it destroyed them in other ways. It's the same concept in this, of the pearl that's taken on a new role in his life, and the certain kind of curse that comes with it, and things that's happening to him, and people who are not in it, good people coming for him because of this pearl, and those who are lying to him. There's parts when he tries to sell it and they're giving him like these ridiculously low value for it, where he knows it was worth way more than that. And it is an interesting way of talking about what you think you need, and the what is of you gaining something, and how do you keep yourself you in all of that. And even at the end, there's that moment when he's walking, and they walking back to that town, and they're just holding each other and making that decision that they have to release themselves from this thing, and how powerful that moment is in this book. I thought that was interesting. I really enjoyed this author because every time I've read a book, this is the second book, I find that after it's done, I'm stopping to think about so much stuff that I normally wouldn't have think about in some books. It's like you end the book and it's like, okay, it's good, it's not good, that kind of deal. This one had me like trying to dissect certain things of the story that I'm still processing it. It's still going through my mind. I finished this like 2 days ago. It was the last book I finished this month. And I still find myself processing certain things that was happening, and the intention of the author putting that in it. I can see why this is an academic book, because this was one of the books that I was supposed to read in high school, but I didn't. So, and I can see why it is, because of the messages in this and how you can really analyze and cut through this book, even though it is a short read. It is less than 100. No, it's not. It's 100. Felt less than that. This version, I'm pretty sure they'll get a bigger book. Oops. I think this version of the book is 115 pages, but I'm sure the newer pages probably make it less pages. But I love that I have this particular cover. I've seen other covers and it just don't hit me, but this vintage cover is absolutely, it makes sense, especially certain parts of this book. It makes sense, and I thought this was a really good cover for this book, and I'm glad I have this vintage edition. And I don't know when this one was released. This was 1973 edition, so I'm pretty sure you won't be able to find this edition, but it's still in good tack. I mean, I'm so glad I take it. I mean, except for the pages are so colored, but I love this in vintage book when the pages just start getting brown. But I'm glad I read it, and I can put it back up in its spot here of all the books that I should have been reading but I only got one left now, which is 1984. So so that's gonna be read soon, and then I could feel good about this side is completely read, because all the top shelf here are read except for that one book left. So yeah guys, I am gonna end this here, and thank you for watching, and I'm hoping that you guys come back every day at 4 p.m. and watch all the videos that I'm going to be doing. I have so many ideas that I want to do, a lot of creative things, a lot of DIY that I'm hoping to work on. And of course, I love going back through the other books. I have a lot of new debut novels that I intend to read and give you my views on. And yeah, so see you in the next one, guys. See you tomorrow. Bye.